Now, this is obviously an important subject. You said that the values of rugby far outweigh the injury crisis. I mean, what do you mean by that? And are we too focused on what's wrong with the game rather than what's right at the moment?
I think we have to acknowledge we have two games. We have a professional game and an amateur game. And the professional game is, call it 1% of the rugby playing population, and 99% is the community game. And the professional game is such now whereby they spend as much time with their strength and conditioning coaches as they do their rugby, which is fine. Absolutely fine. They are unbelievable athletes with an unbelievable amount of ability at the top end. Absolutely fantastic. You know, the problem I have with it all is that I know people that go to international matches and are up and down in the crowd, get stuck in, do this, do that, they're great, they're great, all this stuff. And the next day are saying, that game's way too tough for my grandson to play. Way too tough for my grandson to play. It's too physical, and we now have a language which doesn't help. We talk collisions all the time. We talk car crashes. We talk brutal. We talk hits. All the stuff that a mum of an 8, 10, 12, 14-year-old doesn't really want to hear. I can create, and zillions of other people who do unbelievable work in the communities and rugby clubs, can create a really safe, engaging, friendly environment for your 6, 8, 10, 12-year-old, whose chances of becoming Ollie Chesham, I'm afraid, are negligible. They're just, very unlikely to happen. So don't think the professional game is like the amateur game, because they are so far apart, it's not funny. At my local club, I've got guys as big as Ollie Chesham. They just go out for lunch a lot more and don't have a strength and conditioning coach making them, the athlete that Ollie is and all the other guys are, which is great. So we have to acknowledge that the amateur game and the community game can thrive brilliantly, without question. But the physicality of the top end is affecting the participation levels of kids coming into the game. It just is. It just is. And we know about, the Lewis Moody announcement of today, which was horrible and, terrible to read and see and all the rest of it. We know of the court case against World Rugby about onset dementia. It's beyond what I ever thought might happen in this game, but there's one common denominator, is they're all professional rugby players. They were all professional rugby players, whereby I would love to be in a pro to see training at 10 in the morning how good I could be, rather than 7 at night, and then having to iron a shirt and go to work the next morning on the tube. So we are in this real dilemma that I think the professional game is affecting the participation levels of the amateur game, because they see the physicality of these unbelievable athletes, and they really are unbelievable athletes. So how do we address that? That, this 8-year-old still goes down to his local rugby club and learns about teamwork, can do hand-eye coordination, giving and taking, learning what being in a team is and having the back, respecting the referee, all those values that rugby can bring that are in some ways life skills for these young boys and girls. I just think is fantastic. But I just think that we are, we've got adverts going on about hits now. There's a piece in the paper last week about a coach for the collision area of the game.
Collision
Mums
coaches.
don't want to hear about collision areas. They really do not want to hear about and the brutality of it and all the rest of it. The under-8s at Farnham Rugby Club, my club, has got safeguarding written all over here, and every other club has as well. Do not judge us. We've got people that just go to Twickenham and watch Test match rugby and don't see what's going on down here, and with the 6, 8, 10, 7-year-old, 9-year-olds, where there is an unbelievable do they get knocks? Of course they get knocks. Do most 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds want to get stuck in and make a tackle? Absolutely, they do. So I get what's happening at the top level, and I get the language to a degree. I don't like it, I never thought in my lifetime rugby would be talked about car crashes and collisions and brutality and all the rest of it.